So, this time it's gonna be about something I don't know yet. Yeah, and I'm hopefully lit up correctly because, yeah, there's a light in front of me. And there's every single light that I'm having quite in front of me, so that I'm just very, very nicely lit, or I'm just hoping that I'm lit nicely. I really hope. But I'll just see, because as you might know, I always just take paper tissues, if they are called like this, I still don't know, unfortunately, to actually cover up the light. There I have a small little light, it's an LED light in front of me, which is fucking bright. It is really fucking bright. The problem that I'm having right now is that it's actually a little bit too much covered up, or at least it seems for me to be like this. So maybe just gonna take one of those. Yeah, it totally is. So now I'm definitely lighter, and now it should just be a little bit broken up. Yeah, it's definitely fine. Like, can you even see me through? No, you can't, but I can. But yeah, as you might can see in the background, we are actually going through the 12 Rules of Life by Jordan B. Peterson. I actually noticed that I might have gone through this singular thing for too long, actually. So actually a few days in a row, which isn't actually the thing that I'm willing to do. As you might know, I'm actually changing up a little bit so that I'm not always doing the same shit every single day. And I kind of messed it up. And still today there will be the 12 Rules of Life, because I guess maybe tomorrow there will be 2 episodes, and then I'll just do something else. But yeah, I kind of feel like, there's so much in these rules and so much in this book and so much variations that it is somehow, yeah, I don't know. I didn't just think about actually doing something else, to be honest. I really don't know why. But yeah, I'm just having to see if I'm actually a little bit too near, but I should be quite right in front of the microphone. So maybe I'm just here. The problem now is that my light is actually inside a bottle. I just stuck it into a bottle so that it's just somehow on the same height as I am, because if it's just a little bit below me, I'm just looking very creepy. And if it's above me, I'm just looking shit as well. And to really just do this somehow, as I want it to be, I just decided to do it in the bottle. The problem is it's behind my my screen, and I do not have as much room as I've used to have on my desk, and therefore it's just very near everything, and therefore I'm not quite able to just go back even more, But I don't know if this is actually important, but maybe I can just do it like, the thing is, I could actually just do it like this, and I could just go away just pretty, but I can see you, and you can definitely not see me. This isn't just the best thing I think I can do, so. But maybe like this. So that I can actually. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. I think it's okay like this, and I think this is actually a little bit disturbing, even. So yeah. And I think we actually finished with the 3rd rule the last time, so therefore we're just going ahead with the 4th rule, which is next beside us. And I do think the screen is even a little bit too big. Just a little tiny bit too big. But yeah, I think it's fine. I guess it really is fine, the composition and everything. I do guess I could have more room, but yeah, let's let it stay like this. I guess it is very okay like it is. Rule 4: compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. This just really basically just quite underlines what I'm always talking about when I'm hearing, okay, you shouldn't just compare yourself to somebody else. And then I'm always just talking about why you shouldn't and why I think you shouldn't, which is you don't know what people are doing most of the time. Sometimes if if they're your friends and whatsoever, then you know it, but often you don't know what these people are doing, and then the quote-unquote problem is that they might be doing quite a lot of things. They might be working on their skills every single day, and maybe they have for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It could totally be the case, and then if you just really kind of compare yourself to this person, it's just somehow clear, and it makes sense that you're not as good at a certain skill as this person is, because this person did so much to actually be somehow good or mediocre or whatever it is, or whatever this person is in the skill up to now, and you did quite nothing, I guess, or definitely not as much. So you don't know what people are doing, in their private time, in the leisure time. So maybe they're just really working on that certain skill that you are also trying to work on as well. But let's actually see what they are saying, which is, I guess, even more important or more interesting, because it is something new and not something you have heard just like 500 times. So with today's mass media, there's always someone out there that you in everything that is better than you in everything you do. Your career seems boring and you wish your friends were more exciting and more attractive. You're fatter than your coworkers and you're bad at sports. Who cares if you're Prime Minister of Canada when someone else is the President of the United States? As explained in Chapter 1 of this 12 Rules for Life summary, this wasn't the natural case for hundreds of years, or hundreds of thousands of years. We used to live in small tribes of hundreds. Chances were you were good at something and you got serotonin signals from people acknowledging you were good. Which makes sense, if people really come up to you and tell you, you're good at this certain skill, I'm way worse than you, or I would just be able, and I would really like to be able to do it on such a level as you're doing it. Chances are pretty high, if you're really living in a tribe of 100 people or even less, or maybe 200 people, But the thing is, and which is totally what makes sense and what they say, we are just comparing ourselves to a lot more people, to a lot richer people, to just, everything basically or practically or theoretically, let's say theoretically, and theoretically, we are actually comparing ourselves to every single person, or we totally could, and I guess you shouldn't, because it makes sense, there is totally someone who is better at what you are doing. So chances are high, it definitely not has to be the case, maybe you're just a very talented and talented person, something that nobody can do, then you're the only one, and that's then great, but I think that's just a minority, and I guess it definitely is. Standards are useful to guarantee a level of quality, like building bridges, and to keep pushing us to better things. Being unsatisfied with our present world is a useful impetus to improve your situation, but it can also lead to crushing, chronic self-criticism, where you feel you aren't capable of doing anything. Which is, I guess, even not, like, it's quite often, I think, the case that people are actually kind of thinking like they can't do anything, and it doesn't make any sense. And I somehow do not understand the people, and I somehow do understand the people. I do understand that sometimes your mind just plays some tricks on you, and it pretty much creates a reality that isn't quite real. I understand this, and it makes sense that you're then thinking like you're not good enough, or you can't do anything or whatsoever. But I guess if you're just thinking, and if you're just really being truthful to yourself, everybody can do something. Every single person outside there is able to do something, whether it be making the laundry or doing the laundry, what the fuck ever, or cooking. Cooking is very important. I can't particularly do it. I'm not the best at cooking. I can do other things, but every single person can do something good. Every single person can do something good and is maybe even talented at doing it, because, everybody likes just certain things, chances, like everybody likes something, and most of the time we're just pretty good at what we actually like and what we actually love, and or what we are eventually even passionate about. But yeah, one typical response to this is nihilism, which is negativity and hopelessness. There will always be people better than you, so what's the point? The world's going to end in a million years, if not a billion. Why does what I do matter? Peterson argues that this is a cheap trick, and any idiot can choose a frame of time within which nothing matters. This is an unreliable and worthlessly easy way to look at life. That totally is, because there's always a time when people feel, and even I feel like, I'm not good enough, or I don't matter, why I'm here. These certain phases, and I guess just experiences, it might actually be every person on this planet that actually just somehow experienced something like this in a certain way, and it is not true. And I really think, and I really believe that every single person outside there can actually make an impact on the world, whether it be through social media or whether it be through just, being the kindest person in the fucking neighborhood, This is just also very impactful. If you're just really, really nice to every single person every single day, it is just impactful. People will be like, how can you do this? People will be like, it is just so great to be around you because you're so positive. And I think it's not that difficult to actually make an impact in the world, On a big scale it is, because you have to get the audience, you have to do this and you have to do that and whatsoever. And but in general, there are a very lot or a very load of very easy things you can do to actually make someone else's life better, like smiling. Smiling, I think, is one of the easiest ways to do that, because if you're smiling at someone, it definitely lets you just, first of all, seem more sympathetic, if it is even an English word. I don't know. And you make other people smile because you're smiling. And this just makes it better. This just makes their day better. This just makes your day better because you know that you're doing something that somebody else is contributing off. But let's go on. Another response to this was to shield children from it. The delusionally positive thinking of constant praise. Trophies for everyone, and you're all special and capable of everything you want to do. This merely blinds people to the truth, and when reality hits, people are unprepared to deal with it. Which is actually true, Even though I really have to say I haven't found like the right balance yet, I'm always thinking like, okay, you should be truthful to the persons or people, and you should also be truthful to yourself, but you shouldn't be mean, and you shouldn't just, crush their dreams, and you shouldn't say something you're not quite sure about, Only the thing is, if you're a teacher or somebody a child just looks up to, and you're telling them while they're playing basketball, you will never be able to just play basketball in the league, If you really tell this person, I don't know what it's doing with it. I kind of feel like it's just crushing this little child. It totally is, and it might even stay in their head, or in his head, or in her head. And as you might know, and as I know, just the mind plays a very, very big role at just being successful and just achieving something and actually going for your dreams. And if you truly, or if you somehow in your deepest beliefs, or if you're in the deepest little corner of your fucking mind and body, just think that you can't do it, then I think you can't do it, But then the good thing is, if you're really someone who just comes up to people and tells them something like this, and they are still just succeeding, then it's something nice. Then it is totally something nice and something I totally enjoy to really, to have. But I think that the right balance is very difficult, to actually not crush their dreams and not being like, just saying something because you can, or because it just feels for you like this. because it definitely hasn't to be like their future, and also not being just true or too, like they say, too like everybody gets trophies and everybody's a winner and everybody's good at everything and whatever, because this is also not true. It definitely isn't. Instead, in 12 Rules for Life, Peterson argues that a total reworking of your goals is needed, starting with understanding yourself as though you were a stranger. And there are actually, I guess, some points on how you could actually do this and how you could actually just know yourself a little bit better. And the first thing is, realize you need to focus on you and you can't compare to others or to other people. You have likely identified a single arbitrary dimension as the most important thing, maybe money or fame or whatsoever. And you feel miserable that you don't have it, but your existence is multidimensional. What about family, friends, and personal projects? I'm not quite sure, but I guess what they want to say, or what the author, so he wants to say, is actually like, there are a lot of things that matter, you know. Actually, they're not. There are not a lot of things that matter. There are just a very few things that really matter. And it is really the case that we're all multidimensional. You know, we are not so absolute. You know, we aren't like, you know, I'm just going to sleep because I like to sleep for the whole life long. You know, you would still do something else. You would still do something that you're just enjoying as well. You know, I may like just doing the podcast, but I also like to design things. I also like to draw. I also like a lot of things. And I guess, but I don't know. So if you know, just let me know it, yeah. Let me know it and put it down in the description, and I could just definitely, read it. Or you hit me up on Instagram or on Twitter or on Facebook or Tumblr, actually, on quite on every single platform there is. I'm on it, hopefully, and just tell me. But I guess it's just what they mean, that, you know, you may like just not only one thing, you don't want only one thing in your entire life, so why being so obsessed with one thing, or just being crippled by not having the one thing, instead of also just somehow a little bit focusing on something else. Maybe the 80-20 rule, you know, which is just primarily, it is like, you know, the time management rule, but also Gary Vee used it as a rule to actually just be like, okay, you know, I'm using 80% of my time to put it into my main thing. So it might be going for money and going for fame, but you could just put your 20% that's left into being multidimensional, or just, you know, going for friends, and or going for just personal projects or your family and whatsoever. Judge your success across all the games you play. Your existence is so unique and customized to you that you can't easily compare yourself to any other individual, which is totally true. It is totally true. You know, we are all different. We all experience things differently. There may be some, you know, similarities in terms of looks, and also I think in terms of thinking, definitely in terms of thinking, but we are all individuals, and this is totally something I really love to underline, you know. And I guess this is also one of the reasons why it's pretty, I think it's pretty tough to actually say some very generalizing things. And, you know, I, for example, don't like when people say, okay, you're gonna have to read something, or you're gonna have to just read the books to get the knowledge, or to get rich, or to get whatever, you know, because it's not true. It definitely is not true, because you could also just listen to audiobooks. You know, it's definitely not reading, but you're definitely getting information. You could also just, you know, try a course. You could also study it. And there are such a lot of things you could do to actually learn a craft, learn a certain skill, or do whatever. And it's not only just reading books. It's not only listening to audiobooks. It's not only listening to podcasts, and it's not only just reading newspapers. You know, we're all individuals, and everybody has his or her way of learning and speaking and dancing and playing and eating and quite everything. Everyone has their own problems that are often invisible to you. You're likely overvaluing what you don't have and undervaluing what you do. The very people you envy might reciprocate. So it's reciprocate. That feeling to you. There isn't a binary condition of success and failure. There are many gradations in between. When matters is whether you can get better. So what matters is whether you can get better, not whether you can achieve binary success. Somehow makes sense, yeah. The second thing is drill deeply into your discontent and understand yourself. If you're actually just moving on like this, I think I will just, okay, we're halfway through, and I think this is also a pretty long one. Yeah, it is. I'm just I'm very slow with these summaries, and especially on the alancheng.com website, I'm incredibly slow, and maybe because there is a detailed, but I don't really know. I really don't know why it is what it is, but I shouldn't complain because everything is great. I'm putting out an episode. I'm trying to help others. I'm trying to help myself. I'm just trying. I'm trying to figure out the podcast game and or the YouTube video game and or the game of life. So generally, I want your life to improve, which is, I guess, very important, and it also plays in the hands of, actually something that I quite often talk about, which is the whole recognizing thing. I totally believe that if you're recognizing that something is going on with you and something is wrong with you, then it's the first step to actually get better at this certain thing, because you really have to recognize it until you can actually just act on it, because if you don't know, you won't act and whatsoever. And I think it's the same thing with this one, you just have to want it. If you don't want it, you won't do it. And if you don't even just kind of think about it, or think about actually improving your life and actually going for this, which is, I guess, even though it just really sounds stupid for myself as well. So don't be ashamed if you're just feeling like, what fucking sense makes this? No, but no negative self-talk, even though it wasn't, but just to kind of put it in. It's very important to actually just monitor what you're saying to yourself, especially because often we people tend to actually talk negatively about ourselves, whether it's in our head or actually like verbally. But I guess if you just really want to improve your life, chances are better that you actually are doing it, or if you at least are somehow seeing it, that you could improve something. If you, never mind. So you can't fool yourself. If you don't want this, you won't be able to improve. Sorry? Which makes sense, because it's always about the internal drive. It really is. So drill into your discontent and transform it. What do you want and why do you feel this way? Keep asking why until you can't answer it anymore, which is actually a very great exercise. It totally is. I've seen it somewhere else. I do not know where, which is a great problem of mine. It is really a great problem that I'm just going through so many things, whether it is articles or if it's videos or even podcasts. I'm going through so many things that I'm not actually able to recall where I've got the information from, or if it is even the right information whatsoever, but I can't also just somehow validate it without just a lot of work, because I don't fucking know. I'm not monitoring what I'm just going through all the fucking time, I'm not doing this, I'm not just writing everything down, even though I should, even though it might be just a good thing to do, but yeah. Articulate your desires, realize the conflict between them, and prioritize them into hierarchies. And how do you transform your goals so that you remove bitterness and resentment? Question mark. What if you didn't have to improve yourself at other people's expenses? And what if you could at the same time make your friends and family happier? And also maybe your enemies? Um, there are a lot of ways in life. There are totally a lot of fucking ways in life you could do something, and there might be a good way, and there might also be a bad way. And I guess to really just be sure what's the good and what's the bad way, you just have to try one of them. And if it's not a good one, then just try the other one. And if there's even more worse, then maybe stick to the first one or quit. Because quitting is actually not as bad, or not as just, yeah, let's say bad. I think bad is just really just describing it correctly. It is not bad. It does make sense to actually quit sometimes, not always. When you're always quitting, it's not good. Is the subject of your discount within your control? If not, look somewhere else, find something you can fix. Totally right. Just, complaining about the weather is just useless because you can't do anything about it. No matter how just, okay, yeah, if you just really want it bad, you could just get a millionaire first or a billionaire first and then try to produce something that you're just spraying in the air that is just somehow protecting you, or it's just somehow changing the climate. I don't know how, but this would be a way. You could do this if you want to. Realize that you are blind, or blind with double L, but you're blind to what goals you really want because you're focusing on something very narrow. You can't understand fully how your brain works since it's been shaped by millions of years. Metaphor to vision, our retinas have a narrow central section with high acuity. It is ACUITY, the fovea, which is FOVEA. Everything else is blurred. Similarly, in life, you're focusing on something very narrow and ignoring everything else of value. Realize you may have to give up old goals to find a new direction. Which is essentially true, I guess, and which is also something that I'm quite thinking about. Like, maybe I just have to do something different to actually be able to improve something that I'm doing. Maybe I'm just having to just not make 10 posts a day, but 7 a day, and then being able to actually cut my videos or something like this. I don't know. It is also in terms of time management, but so what I was talking about, they are clearly not talking about time management, so I'm sorry. The third and the last one is transform your goal into something achievable. Very important, and I really guess that they're just, then telling you about, okay, you should have a goal that is somehow in terms of numbers, because if it is something like I want to feel good, this is nothing you can somehow pursue, enough you can go to, but better to stop. Where did I stop? I think I'm gonna read because I didn't know or don't know what I've actually been talking about. So transform your goal into something achievable. Break it down to something trackable, and you can do today, and then you'll start building ever upwards, which makes sense. Actually building something, or actually just having a measurable goal. The problem with me is that I'm not even having a measurable goal. I'm just thinking like I want to grow on every single platform. I'm not thinking like I want to get to 1 million or a few thousand by, I don't know, by 2020 or some shit like this. I'm not doing this. I don't know if I should be doing it. I don't know if this would be good for me, because I'm just, still doing my best to do just, get the best result. You know what I mean? I'm just putting the best into, and then I'm just, really kind of thinking about actually getting the best. But yeah, but if you're having just an extreme goal and an extreme desire you want to go to, maybe um, not maybe even just make it measurable, like in terms of figures, and being like, okay, instead of I want to be rich, you can just put it like I want to have $1 million in the bank account of mine by the end of the next year, and then actually just breaking it down into such a small piece that you could actually do it right now, that you could literally do it right now, whatever it be, whether it be just actually networking with people, writing people an email, or something like this, something very, very small. So aim small, then grow your ambition. What one thing in your life can you fix right now? Let things in life at the end of the day be a little better than they were this morning. Something I had in my mind quite recently, and do that for a month, then 3 years, and now you're aiming for the star. Negotiate with yourself and honor your commitments. Pretend you're working for your own internal boss. After you finish, the boss complains it's not good enough, and you ask for 10x the work. Would you work for a tyrant like this? No. So make yourself a deal, for example, a reward for doing something, and feel good about it after you finish. Which is actually the case with myself. I really feel good when I'm just finishing everything after a very long day, when just heading to bed at 2 fucking a.m. or 1 fucking a.m. I just feel good. The problem there is the later it is, quite the better I'm feeling, because it's feeling like for me, okay, I'm so grinding, I'm so doing so much things, and it's not good. It's clearly not good. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your mind. It really is not. Please sleep. And I'm just speaking on experience. I've had multiple weeks by now, unfortunately, where I haven't slept a lot. I really haven't. And that's not good. I'm just acting weird. For me, it's somehow funny. For a lot of people, it also is. But for some people, it isn't. I'm clearly acting somehow different. I'm thinking differently. I'm not as creative. This is something I notice actually. And I can't memorize and concentrate on things that I don't like to do so easily, or in such a way I would like to be able to. But yeah. And continue to pay attention. Once you start looking at your new goal, you'll start seeing new things you were blind to before, and new information and opportunities. Once you put this into practice, you'll improve your negative emotions. You don't get envious since you no longer know someone else has it truly better. You don't get frustrated since you have learned to aim low and to be patient. Even actually aiming low is not good. It really isn't. Something I actually learned through Les Brown and his speeches. And it's a really great metaphor. And I really love it, and I really love this quote. Even though I think it's not from him particularly. But I would rather just aim for the stars than the moon, because if you just aim for the stars, does this make sense? Yeah, it makes sense. So if you're aiming for the stars and if you're missing them, you're still hitting the moon. But if you're just aiming for the moon, there's no chance that you're actually aiming or hitting a star. And that's it. And I think it totally makes sense. If you're having it too low, there's no chance that you're actually getting any higher. And if you're very high with your goal, if you're just really going high, but not just somehow delusional, or you can't ever achieve it, something not good as well, you can do it. Ultimately, Peterson believes that the answer to nihilism is the essential goddess or goodness of being. This comes from aiming for a meaningful goal that improves the lives of people and for a long time. There is habitable order to establish and beauty to bring into existence. There is evil to overcome, suffering to ameliorate, and yourself to better. And this is quite what I'm talking about when I'm saying everybody can make an impact. Everybody could just think okay, I'm not just willing to have any evil in my neighborhood. And then I'm just being the nicest fucking person in the whole neighborhood. it makes a lot of days of a lot of people. It will make them happy. They will feel like, what's going on with this person? I want to just eat what he is eating as well. I want to take the same drugs. No, but we all can make an impact, and I wish you were just trying as well. And I guess if you're just really trying, and if you're really going for such a goal as making an impact, I guess chances are pretty high that actually you're achieving it somehow. Through social media, it got not easy. It definitely got not easy, but it got simple, basically. But I guess it also makes you happy. I guess if you just truly knowing you're able to help people, you're able to whatsoever, then it's just great. Then it really is. But yeah, with that being said, this is actually the end of the episode. I do hope that you enjoyed it, that you've liked it, that you've learned something, and I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And I'm still a little bit low, just getting the body posture right. But still, don't forget about kind of remembering how you gonna be remembered, and so therefore actually maybe giving something back to the people, or just something to the world, like what I've been speaking about just the last few seconds or the last few minutes of this episode actually. And with this being said, hopefully you've just been through all the other videos that I made, like hopefully not, because it would take you such a long time. But yeah, with this being said, I wish you the best. I'll see you tomorrow. Yes, so I see you. You might not even see me, but I'll see you tomorrow. And yeah, I love you. I'll see you.